Can you walk us through the discussions, who came up with this idea, how it was bounced back and forth, and a little bit of this idea and the $500 and just the story of behind this plan? Thank you.
Dick, if you can remember the July e-board where we approved this, I believe it was the Friday before that e-board when we had heard once again the desperation from legislators and their staff who had been fielding all of these requests around unemployment benefits, and things were still kind of in a stuck mode over at the employment department. We just looked at each other and said, we have an e-board next week. We've got to get people some money. And I think we both thought of it separately, and then we both texted the staff. We texted each other and said, we need to do something. Now, what I will say is the Senate president actually wanted a bigger number than $500. I went with 500 because I went with how many more can we serve? And that's where we ended up. I think he wanted 1,500. But regardless, the same idea of getting cash, that's what people need right now. They don't need to run around. They don't need excuses. They need cash to pay their bills. And that's where, and Peter, that's my recollection of where we started.
Well, this has never happened before, and I know you're not going to believe it. We've had a lot of meetings in the last several months, the speaker and I, about a lot of things where I'm not going to write a treatise on it, but and so this issue of people unemployed, not having a job, it just, I don't know. And somehow other, I remember I said to Anna Braun, my chief of staff, you know what, let's just do something and fool around. And Anna Braun herself had said to me months before, why don't you just give them money? And I said, what? Anyway, well, all of a sudden, that was a Friday morning, and then I get a text back from Anna saying, no, call me. You know what? The speaker's going to do it. They wanted to do it together. We're going to issue a press release. Because we knew if we issued a press release, in my opinion, we were boxed in. We had to produce. And then we were making it up, and we had an e-board, and literally that's how it happened. We just, the two chiefs of staff started to work. Then we brought in Lisa and Christina, and it was as simple as that. What number we chose, how many people, like 70,000, 35 million, all that was okay. We just did it. And I can't explain it any other way. There's nothing more profound. There's nothing more secret. There's nothing clandestine. It's just somehow Tina and Peter, who don't even see each other hardly. We didn't even see each other in special session this time. We just came up with this thing. And the details seem unimportant because we said we're going to do it. And we weren't even going to wait for, we did it in e-board, that very nice e-board. And you want to tell you something, you know, you could look at the paperwork we presented to the e-board. I'm just going to say it now, given that e-board, I'm surprised they didn't really attack us by how incomplete it was. Instead, they started cheering almost. Literally, yes, do it. So that's it, Dick. Nothing more profound than that. If you want a more sexy story, I don't have it, but it's absolutely true.
And I think we came up with the 70,000 because around that time, I believe we still had about a 60,000 person backlog in employment. Now that has improved in the last 4.5 weeks, and more people have gotten their full benefits, and they will get their retroactive benefits. But there are still people waiting in adjudication. Just to give you an update, as of 9:25 this morning, we now have 240 people processed in the program.
Also, I think, I said this as a speaker, I think when you're in a crisis situation, you have to act in ways you wouldn't ordinarily act, and you think in ways you wouldn't. If you don't, the world's turned upside down, and you have to turn yourself upside down. In some ways, the speaker and I have been doing that. We've been attacked for that. And so it's not surprising we would come up with this thing at all. We're not trying to be show-offs. We're not trying to say, see, we did something nobody else did. We are just desperately trying to respond to people who are flooding our offices. There's crying, there's tears, they're broken down. They're going to get, I mean, they have no money, they have no jobs, and they're good people. They're all good people. They're all hardworking. And what are you going to do as elected officials? Say, well, let the grace of God go out. You're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that if you're like, you're going to try to do what you can do. So this was born from that crisis situation.